Jordan, put the camera on me, please. That's what the people want to see. Make sure you get my ab in there. I have one. I got one ab. It's kind of round. Thank you. All righty. We are live. Thank you guys for joining our virtual session. I am here to answer your questions. So whatever questions you may have, I don't know where to look, up here, down there, I'm here to answer them. And feel free to send donations. If you guys want my Cash App, my Venmo, my Zelle, I got you. Now, let me be a little careful here. I'm not saying send donations to the NSVP. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, sir. Yeah, what got me on the path to being a physicist was I was a little kid at 10 years old. The previous year, I had read my first adult book when I was 9, and it was Roots. All right. And so I was left alone a lot as a kid. So the next year, we moved from Mississippi out. When I read Roots, I was living in the country in Mississippi, living in the woods. And so the next year, we moved back to New Orleans to the city, and I'm alone a lot. And I'm looking for something to do, of course. And I decide I'm going to read our encyclopedias from A to Z. And I get to E, and I encounter Albert Einstein and relativity. I had always been interested in weird stuff, like stuff that's just like weird and magical, Bigfoot, stuff that we talk about on TV, right? Back in my day, it was Bigfoot and Yeti, the Loch Ness Monster, Oak Island, ball lightning, all these things. I was into that stuff. And so I was also very interested in the natural world. So when I got to Mississippi, and I'm living on a farm, and we got all these different animals, and and I play with fire a lot, and it was just amazing to me. When I reached Einstein and relativity, it's like the natural world and weirdness combined. And I decided I was going to teach myself relativity, and I studied it as much as I could. And then ultimately, what happens is these professors come to my high school and tell us about science fairs. And that year, my girlfriend had gotten a TRS-80 computer for Christmas from her mother. And I used her computer. It came with a little booklet that taught you to program in language BASIC. So I taught myself BASIC. So when these professors came and they were like, yo, you guys should participate in the science fair, I was like, this is 1983. I know what I'll do. I'll program relativity. And I did. And I ended up winning first place in the state science fair in physics. Yeah. And they were like, dude, you should be a physicist. But I didn't see it at that time. So I went away to the Navy. And I came back from the Navy, and my buddies convinced me to go to college. All right. And I go to college, and I'm like, I know you go to college and be one of 4 things: a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or an engineer. Teacher didn't sound cool enough to me. Lawyer, you watch TV, you figure out, oh, lawyers are evil, right? That's the messaging you get. Engineer, I had no idea what that was, right? What the hell is an engineer? Other than someone who drives a train, I don't, it's not clear. I know it's a good thing, but what is it? And then medical doctor at the time sounded like, you know what? It's possible, but probably not for you, right? So I go to Tougaloo College, and they're like, dude, you have to choose a major. And, Tougaloo was heavy in attorneys and doctors, pre-med, pre-law. So I'm like, okay, I'm chemistry pre-med. I like science, chemistry, got the lab coats, I'm chemistry pre-med. By beginning of my sophomore year, I take organic chemistry while I'm pledging my fraternity. And that was the end of me thinking I'm pre-med, right? So the very next semester, since I'm techie, I know I got to take intro to physics, intro to chemistry, intro to biology. So I decided to take my first physics class and discover that I had studied so much physics for fun, and I'd done so many logic problems that I could just show up for the exams and bust the hundreds without even attending class. And I personally have never met a class that I like. I never attend class. I don't even go to work if it's optional. And so, I'm really reclusive like that. And so I would just show up for the exams. I became a physics major because that's what was easy for me. But then I realized at a certain point that if I'm going to be a physics major, I need to understand math really well. And I was vastly undereducated in mathematics. So I decided to make myself a math major also to force myself to learn the mathematics. And that's how, I got through Tougaloo and eventually got accepted to Stanford. And there I learned, guess what? You're still hella undereducated. And, just nose to the grindstone, working my butt off. I figured it out, So these two guys, Rakesh Nigam, this Indian guy from India, and David Santiago, they were like, we got real tight and we just do physics all the time. And I got good eventually. Not good like Malcolm, but, good enough. Yes, ma'am. No virtual questions? Yeah, that means we can go. Yes, yes, there will be. There will. Right now, hybrid is going to be the way to go. Hybrid into the future. There's something very valuable about the in-person experience, but a hybrid experience allows us to engage more people, and that's what we hope to do. And hopefully even bring in, broaden our hybrid engagement. Is that it? Oh man, it's okay and it's going to be okay. That's what I would tell my younger self. My younger self went through hell, right? And I would just, and I had cats that would tell me that, like, it's okay, man, it's gonna be okay, right? There were people that told me that, and at the time, I was like, yeah, whatever. But I mean, I didn't say it like that in my mind. Uh, I was a total nerd kid, you know what I mean? And I remember this one night, I was with my fraternity brothers, and you know how it is at these parties. At a certain time, everybody couples up, and I didn't couple up, right? And that was common for me because I've always been scared of girls. And so uh, this brother Charles Pickett, he pulls me aside. He's like, "Hey man, listen, don't worry about it, bro. It's not, you know, that's not who you are. That's not how you roll, and that's okay. Just do you and be you, and you're gonna see in the long term, you're gonna do really well, right? And don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing." And he was right. Kappa Alpha Psi. Pretty as I am, I know you. That's the young dudes. So our shimmy was different. We had a different shimmy. Now they're like, yeah, they got 8 moves when we had one. And then before us, there was the so-called snake dancing or something like that. They called it. The really old school dudes. Yeah. Are you a new? Oh, you're alpha. See, everybody always assumes I'm an alpha for some reason. I don't know why. Whenever I say I play, they're like alpha. But the interesting thing is that all my friends, I had like my organic friends in college were all Qs. Like in my classes, my class buddies were all alphas because that's who else was taking physics. They were all the nukes in physics. Nukes are doing medicine and law. Yeah, yeah, they're all doing well now too. Yeah. No, no, no. So I wrote a book, my memoir, and in 2018, I got a movie deal with Chadwick Boseman and Working Title Productions. And so, the way we did it is we did a handshake shopping deal, and then we went and looked for a studio, and both of them had first look deals with Universal. So Universal picked it up on the first pitch. Chad was very passionate about it. I didn't know he was sick and dying at the time, right? And so because of Chad, Universal bought it at on the first pitch. And the other thing about Chad is I got to spend like some real time with him the day we met. And I was telling him about, the economics of movie deals for book authors is that you don't get any money as a book author. You might get like 100K or whatever. So Chad got me this sweet $750,000 deal plus 100K as a when it goes into production, I will be a consultant on the movie. So he passes away, and Universal is like, no Chad, no deal, right? And they cancel the deal. All right. They don't renew the option, is what it's called. So we went back out, my agent and I, to sell the book. And it turns out that there's a lot of African American couples with production companies now. Steph and Alicia Curry, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, John Legend and his wife. But anyway, I got a meeting with Oprah. I took 4 meetings. One with Oprah, one with De Niro's company, and a couple others I don't recall. And what ended up happening is De Niro's company, which is called Tribeca, and Oprah's company, which is called Harpo, we provide. So last time it was a deal with 2 production companies. This time it's a deal with 2 production companies because each company brings something, right? And we signed a contract in October 2021, and it got even up to even more. I'm not going to say how much, even more money and an even sweeter deal. So the difference, though, is that in my deal with Chad and them, there's a process you go through. First, you seek out script writers. Then you get what's called a treatment. Then you go into writing the actual script. And that's when you go out and get actors and a director. And Chad and those guys kept me in touch, kept me informed at every moment, right? And I even went to LA and spent a week with the writers, right? But Oprah and them, I ain't hearing nothing. They're just like, we'll let you know. And I'm like, fine, let's just go to production. Let's make it happen. But, everybody warned me that, you get a movie deal, it's a long process. Very long process. And so the thing with Oprah and a lot of these production companies, they have what's called a first look deal. So Harpo and Tribeca, their first look deal is with Netflix, which is good because when Netflix buys things, they tend to make them relatively quickly. But as you know, Netflix just went through a big restructuring. So, I don't know how that played into delaying things or whatever. But I'm in wait mode right now. No, I reserved the right to audition for a role, but they could not guarantee me a role. And the book is about me, my life up to age 30. So I can't be me in the movie, right? I'll be like, professor or something, So we did have we do not currently do that. We used to have a thing called Scholar Find, where you could register there. And this is what I want to bring back for member services. You could register there at Scholar Find, and then we had a bunch of entities for whom you were appropriate for, from graduate schools to employers, that would find you there. All right. And so it was a connection thing. Think of it like Indeed.com, but for physicists of our organization. And we had people who value us, register. But once the big bang, as they say, happened, a lot of these extra member services got dropped to the side. So, that would be a thing to bring back. All right. That is wonderful. The breakfast time now? Thank you so much for your attendance. We appreciate you, and hope to see you in person in 2023. All right. Thank you. Thank you.